within the first 48 hours, a child is 80% chance of being contacted by a trafficker. You're looking for drugs because there's all the indicators there for drugs. There's something more valuable there, and it's that person.
Wow.
If we can get to these kids early, and if we can keep them out of that environment altogether, we win as a society.
Hey, welcome everyone to today's 10-8 podcast. My name is Chris Chapman, and we're here with a very talented group of individuals sitting on the couch, the brand new hot seat. We want to first give a shout out to Jonathan Nettles, our production manager, expertise in all things electronic and podcasting. This facility is definitely his work of art, and we appreciate that.
Agreed.
On top of that, thanks to Governor Sanders for allowing us to serve in these positions. What a great time we're having doing that. Our Attorney General, Tim Griffin, for providing the funding to build this studio out, and then the leadership of Colonel Hager for the Department of Public Safety. But today we're excited. We've got two very special guests, a lifelong friend, Major Stacy Rhodes, kind of came up through the ranks together, and then Sergeant Matt Foster. And then we've got our co-host, Chris Clem, Eric Waycaster, and the one, the only, doesn't do leg workouts.
No.
We'll talk about that in a totally separate session, Jason Lawrence. So,
Wow.
today's topic is human trafficking and the work you guys are doing across the state. And just, Stacy, why don't you start today by just introducing yourself, telling everybody a little bit about you, and then Matt, we'll do the same thing with you, and then we'll jump into the topic.
Sure. I'm Stacy Rhodes. I'm a major with the Arkansas State Police, and I oversee the Criminal Investigation Division. Been with the State Police for, God, I can't even believe I'm going to say this, 27 years.
Wow.
The gray hairs and the wrinkles probably were a giveaway, but anyway, yeah, 27 years. Spent most of my career in criminal investigations up around the Russellville area. Got to know Chris throughout my career. Also am a member of Celeste. Been a commissioner on there since about 2015. And really excited to talk to y'all about our human trafficking endeavor.
Yeah, now, so just for clarification, there is another Rhodes, but you are the Major Rhodes.
The
Is that correct?
major, we refer to him as the minor.
Okay, all right.
No.
Just go ahead and put that on the record
Yeah.
today.
Wow.
Yeah,
I got
just-
it.
yeah.
So you got it. You're writing it down. So,
Forever etched in history.
Stacy and I go way back. We've known each other. Fantastic investigator, great leader, tremendous asset to the commission and to law enforcement across the state of Arkansas.
And teaches on our leadership team.
Absolutely.
We're teaching leadership
So
training.
there's some Marines in the room. We won't call them out. It's pretty obvious who we are. The few, the proud. Matt, go ahead, please.
My name's Matt Foster. I'm a sergeant with Arkansas State Police. I'm also the human trafficking coordinator for the state of Arkansas, and I'm the chair for the Arkansas Human Trafficking Council, which is a task force that we have that's collaborative. A little bit about me. Started my investigation career in the Russellville area. I've been working in state police for 12 years now, and the reason why I'm here today is because one person believed in me.
That's fantastic. Who might that person be?
She might be in this room.
She might be in this room. So, first of all, relax. I mean,
I know,
take
yeah,
a
I'm
breath.
like-
No,
Yeah.
we really want to talk about what you guys are doing because it's pretty amazing. I made the comment before we went on air. Unfortunately, I remember sitting in human trafficking seminars and committee meetings 10, 12 years ago. As an executive, as a young, even going further back as a young detective, and it was, we don't have that problem in the state of Arkansas. We're sitting here, we're having these conversations, and we were like, oh, this doesn't really exist. And I think one of the things that's so important about having you guys in today is not only the work you're doing, but we've had this problem, and we probably just haven't put enough time and effort into it over the years. And so what you're doing right now really magnifies the problem. And then finding solutions to the problem. That's what we do. And then you guys are really doing some great work on that. So let's just, how did it start? You said you had somebody that believed in you. So what's that story?
So it kind of starts, and I would be remiss if I didn't say, so if y'all are familiar, most of y'all have never heard this name before, but Danny Watkins in the Fusion Center. He came to me first, and it's kind of I don't want to like get really wordy here, but he brought me. He said, "Hey, have you ever thought about doing human trafficking in the state police?" And I said, "Well, that's not anything that we had ever really, it was never really anything that we did. Most of the investigations involving, prostitution and those kind of things always fell to the local jurisdiction." And he came to me and he's like, "Hey, we've got invited to be a part of this regional operation in human trafficking. Do you think we can participate?" And I was like, I don't know that we have, I don't know, we've never done anything like that before. And so I started reaching out to a lot of the agencies that I knew that had did that. And this is 2021, by the way. And I reached out to Little Rock, knowing that they had a vice unit, a lot of these other departments, to say, "Hey, we've got this operation." Well, as I learned, when agencies started getting their personnel numbers were going low. I mean, certain things went to the wayside, and a lot of people, that was one of the things that people just weren't really interested, or they didn't have the personnel to be able to do these types. A lot of the proactive policing was going away, and a lot of the agents were becoming more reactive. And the other thing, when I started studying this, is a lot of the laws and stuff didn't support that much effort being put into that kind of stuff. So I thought, well, let's see what we can do to kind of build this back up. And nobody in the state had been trained in a number of years. And so we brought in some human trafficking training in Searcy that year, and kind of kicked off this, let's get the conversation started. Let's start, let's start putting it out there. And we got with a guy in Missouri Highway Patrol by the name of Dan Nash, who was doing a lot of that training.
I sat through one of his classes. I thought Dan was phenomenal. It was really and that was recently, 22, back in 22.
Yes.
And having I sat through the classes at Lake DeGrasse State Park. They brought him in.
Yes.
Dan Turner, the prosecutor down there, and a couple folks put together that with the Chiefs Association. Eye-opening. I mean, like I said, just had no idea how real the problem was. But I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. But yeah,
but that's who it is. Like Dan Nash came and said, because there had always been this approach of, in law enforcement, we like to arrest people.
Sure.
And we love to tell people how many arrests we've made. And that always seemed to kind of be the focus around those types of investigations. How many arrests can you make? And so when Dan came, and he brought a really different approach to it. Sat through that. Fast forward to, so that was kind of our toe in the water, the first seed that was planted. And again, we at the state police, we were feeling the effects of not enough personnel to be able to do the work that was presented, and so it kind of just fell to the wayside. And then out of the blue, enter Matt Foster, who had gone to some of that training, went to some training from the National Child Protection Task Force, had gone to that. And I had never seen someone with so much fire and light and purpose. When Matt brought me, he said, "I think I have figured out what my purpose is."
Wow.
And so when he started, and Matt's not one of those to come to me and say, "Hey, how can I do this?" Matt had already done all of the background. He had found the grant. He had found a grant. He had already started walking the path that he was on. All he needed was he needed somebody to say, "I got to have some support for this. Do you think this is worthwhile?" And that's when he says, "I believed in him." I said, "You just tell me when you need help."
That is
so enter Matt Foster.
That's phenomenally
So
impressive.
Matt, what sparked that?
I'd say it was going to some training in Northwest Arkansas, meeting Dan Nash. I went. It was a National Child Protection Task Force training in Northwest Arkansas. Went to the training. Tim Tebow Foundation was there. Got to meet Dan. Got to meet partners in Mississippi with their counsel, and it's kind of weird. I didn't think about human trafficking at the time. I was, a homicide investigator. I was living life, and And it's one of those things that you're laying in bed one night and you have that overwhelming power come into you. Some people call it your Holy Spirit. Some people call it the universe. And it was the call. And you're sitting there and you get emotional and you start thinking, how can I do this? And what I've learned is from that moment, the next day is every person I met following that day has put themselves in our task force and, meeting with Major Stacy, showing her the vision, and then meeting all these advocates. And it was kind of this path that I have been on. It's been wonderful. Every time I need something, they show up randomly on a weekend. If it's at a event, it could be a rainy day at a church, or it can be just a quick conversation that we have with a doctor at a children's hospital.
So there was no pre-exposure? I mean, nothing that you didn't have a case that really sparked this? It was really the training that kind of opened your eyes?
So the training opened my eyes, and then following that training, I had a case that came. I got the phone call and said, "Hey, we believe this individual's being trafficked," and going and meeting with that individual, learning about her experience and getting her assistance. And I'd say that was another big turning point of showing the impact, going to a prosecutor and saying, "Hey, this individual is being trafficked. This is how I can prove it. This is where she's been throughout the country." That individual's from Arkansas, and she's been trafficked in 8 different states. And just to show what a difference can be, instead of having that individual write out charges, showing a positive impact of, okay, sitting down with the prosecutor, going over the case, like, this is their situation, the person with her is the trafficker, and getting resolved.
And like one of the things that I think that we recognized early on was that a lot of these trafficked individuals, they didn't grow up like you or I. I mean, they did not have the same, some of them did, some of them, not all of them can be labeled victims. Some of them do it by choice. But I think that, for us, is we saw a lot of people who became trapped, who, when arrests were made, by the old system, is they were arrested, now they've got this felony record, and they've got no way out. And so our approach was, well, what if we get them and give them some options? If we can seek these people out, give them options so that they know that this isn't the life they have to lead. There are other options out there. All they needed is somebody to go, I believe in you. How can we help you, instead of them becoming that commodity? Because, what we've seen is a lot of people who were drug dealers in the past, now they're dealing in people. Yeah. You get stopped with a woman in your car, nobody bats an eye. You get with, 8-ball, you get arrested. And so this is something that they could sell over and over and over. And it's such a moneymaker. And so we just thought, we have got to, if we can intercede at some point where these, there's men and women, but we see predominantly it's females. If we can give them a moment in time to stop and think, is there something better out there for me?
But what a cultural shift for us as law enforcement, though, because
100%.
That female was a suspect previously, right?
Yes.
And you're using the word victim now. And so that it was a cultural shift, even for yourself, right?
Yeah.
You just had to look at it from a different perspective. And then how do you remove them from that situation? Because you said it's about choices, but maybe sometimes it's not.
It's not.
And even if that's the choice of the day, if we give them other options, does it lead to a better lifestyle? But we were talking about prosecution before before we came on today. And Eric?
Yeah, I was, excuse me. I was getting ready for this. I was a lot of stuff I just don't know about what y'all do, right? Y'all opened my eyes initially just here thinking about it, like the 2 sides of this. You have the victim side, and then we still got bad guys, right? We still got, our victims at one point were thought of as suspects, but we still got the bad guys, right? We still have that side of things. It seems like such a unique investigative process than your typical crime investigation, case file, prosecution. Like, what has been y'all's plan of attack when it comes to incorporating the prosecutor and getting them on board on the front side of this? I know you've talked a little bit about all the resources that we've been trying to push at the problem, but my curiosity is how's that relationships with your prosecutors on these cases? How have y'all been able to nurture those and incorporate them into the big picture of things?
We've been traveling doing operations. A good example of this would be when we traveled to Hot Springs this year. We had an incident where an individual came to the hotel, and we had a prosecutor there, Prosecutor Lawrence, and
I've heard of her.
Heard of her.
Yes.
She's much easier to be around.
She is the Lawrence.
The Lawrence.
County, by the way.
So as we travel around, I'm coming into someone's community. I'm coming to someone's home. I'm coming to the chief's house. I'm coming to the sheriff's backyard and the prosecutor's yard. And that incident, I met with the chief and the prosecutor, and it was, at the end of the day, I leave. I can bring these resources in. I can still have these resources there when I leave, but the people that makes the decision on what occurs in that situation needs to buy in from the prosecutor. And that's what I told them that night. Is they asked me what I thought. I was like, this is your community. What would you want to do? You're representing your community. You're elected, and also we have to realize that we are proving to you, and we're showing you her trafficker is calling right now, and her trafficker is in prison. He's in a jail, and he's calling her right now as she's expected to be making money for him and inside a jail cell.
There was one of the operations, I believe it was when we did it in Jonesboro, because we're monitoring all of this. We're actually recording, we have UCs working and stuff, and we actually got a recording of the trafficker directing the girl what to wear, how to get there, and it was all on recording, and it was the most interesting thing. And so, when we, first of all, the prosecutors are invited to everything, because we know the burden of proof that they're going to have to get. And so that's, I won't say that it's secondary. The safety of the girls obviously is our number one priority, and everybody else involved. And secondary is we don't want to just do this because, if we can stop the traffickers, then we actually give a lot of girls freedom, because they don't just operate one girl at a time. And so that's kind of our approach, is like, let's get that prosecution if we can. And we've made several arrests. So far, I think they've predominantly gone federal so far. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Matt? I don't want to speak out of turn. Like I said, this is his baby.
Is that your preference, that it goes federal?
Right now we have the Crime Act that's coming into effect in January.
Right, so that'll help.
It's going to help us tremendously. And on the federal side, with our children, what we've learned in this process of, that starting in October last year and are having our first couple of recoveries of children, and what we've learned on our missing children has been eye-opening. Right now we have 143 children missing in the state of Arkansas. Wow. 79 are female. Yep. And probably 12 are in foster care currently that are out there. And
the relevancy of that is we've learned that, foster kids, and a lot of times they're called, throwaway kids, runaways, whatever you want to label them, but they have 3 times more likely to become victims of human trafficking, foster kids. And so what we did, we're like, some of these 20, 22 and on up there, they may be so far gone that we actually can't help them, right? Wow. And so we decided that if we can get to these kids early, and if we can keep them out of that environment altogether, we win as a society. And so we just recently created a position within the state police. It's a missing child liaison, because what we found is a lot of these foster kids, when they go missing, nobody's looking for them. There's a report taken. They may be from Springdale, but they go missing in Lake Village because that's where they're foster. And then,
Depending on where they have bed space, right?
yeah, and they look for them for a while, but then people have to go to the next case that they're investigating. DHS has a workload that and so we just decided that we really, as the state police, that's a bucket we can carry, and let's see what we can do to find these kids, get them before they become victims of human trafficking.
Well, out of curiosity, so you said there's 79 missing females currently, correct? So is there data that supports or shows you the percentage of those that may be trafficked in trafficking right now?
Within the first 48 hours, a child is 80% chance of being contacted by a trafficker.
80%?
80%. Our children are missing within 48 hours are being contacted by a trafficker. And this is also a learning curve that we learned about human trafficking, is the fact that we have survival trafficking going on. We have these children that are being harbored by other members of society that are not really considered what we think is traffickers, the stranger. These are individuals that are exploiting these children due to the fact that they're giving them a place to stay, a form of trafficking that we never even thought about in the state. And it's just part of that educational piece that we're learning as we go is you don't have to have a trafficker that's trafficking these girls out different hotels. It can be in someone's home, that girl's surviving and having to do certain things, receiving a form in exchange.
And it may not just be sex; it may be labor or other means, right? That they're captive to something other than maybe sex, maybe harbored for labor issues or whatever that may look like. But there's 80%.
Wow, it's staggering.
So
It's frightening.
That's like a smack in the face.
Yeah.
I mean, that stops you in your
that's
tracks.
a gut
I was
punch.
in backing up just a few minutes to the brazenness of a trafficker that's in jail, likely on a recorded line, and I don't want to be. It's easy to look at it with the sky is falling mentality, but a positive that jumped out at me real quick is the idea that if the problem is that we have traffickers that are so brazen that they're willing to traffic someone while they're in jail on the phone, but then back it up. You've only been working the problem since 2021. So
It wasn't until 2023 that we actually
Put the task force
grabbed
to
the
that,
ball and decided to carry it.
So the encouraging side of this, now I hear about your federal cases that are getting pushed on the federal side. So now I'm fired up. I'm like, okay, you're going to be brazen about it. See what's coming.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's what's getting me fired up just listening to y'all.
Yes, and it's been October 2023 was
when
my
we really
first
hit the ground running.
my
with
first
it.
day in human trafficking, and it has been eye-opening.
I think I saw you in the building that day. You look like a kid in a candy store. Like I got a new toy and I'm fixing to run with it. Because I remember us having a sidebar conversation about starting this, and you were a one-man show. Day one, you were a one-man show.
100%.
Yeah, and to what you built now, the coalition, the resources. So,
and a shout out to Colonel Hager. He 100% supports it, and has given us everything that we've asked for. It was a one-man show, and then we decided, hey, we've got to throw, some more resources at this. He has given us everything that we've asked for, and it has been, just to have that type of support in an agency is huge, especially for one that is, we are known for the white cars and the blue stripes and the big hats, and for him to see value in this being something like one of the bedrock things at the state police is huge for us.
A couple of things, and I think you kind of already alluded to it, but kind of for education purposes, the different types. I've already mentioned, the sex. We've already mentioned the aspect of labor. What else are you seeing? And I know worldwide there's more than that, but what are you seeing in the state of Arkansas as the different types?
Labor trafficking, it's one of those things where what does labor trafficking look like? It looks like someone working. And so that's one of the hardest identifiers, and you have the language barrier with labor trafficking.
Correct.
Then you have your sex trafficking, which deals with children, and it goes up to adults. and you have illicit massage parlors we have probably 150 massage parlors in the state of Arkansas right now that are operating with 2 to 3 females that are being exploited daily, that are being rotated constantly throughout the state and throughout the country. So we also have the gangs that traffic girls. So you have the smallest of the small to the largest scale you can imagine when you're looking at trafficking, and as we grow, and I've just been so fortunate to, every time I go into a community, that they just open their arms, and I know that I'm living my dream. But I've been, Major Rhodes and Colonel Hager gave me 2 people this year, and my main goal is to have them grow this bigger than I ever dreamed, and having these sheriffs call me at night, the chiefs call me, and me help them. It's just been so wonderful, and my advocates, that I guess what I'm trying to say is I love that I'm living a dream, but it's not me. It's a team. We believe in each other. It's a wonderful collaboration, and I believe we have wonderful core values of integrity. We don't have backdoor conversations. We have this vulnerability as a group where law enforcement, victim services, and DHS and attorneys can come together, take off their armor, and share. And if it's hard, we get together, we share, we talk it through, and we become stronger. So I know that I got a squirrel moment right now, but I just have to say is I can't do this without everyone, and state police when we give you a call about a missing kid or a trafficking investigation, we're not there to take it over. We're there to lift you up. We're here to collaborate. Sheriff Staley called me from Lone Oak last week, and Matt, I have a 16-year-old girl. She's from Wisconsin. She's been missing since June. What can I do to help her? And she's from Wisconsin. What do we do? And walk them through that process. I didn't have to drive to him. He's like, I got great investigators. We don't need your investigation help. I just need somewhere to put this kid, and some advocacy, and just being able to coordinate that with him, and it has been, it's a wonderful sign is to show that we're here. We're just here to help.
That's awesome. So you kind of already talked about it, but let's take it from a patrol officer, patrol deputy, a state trooper, game and fish officer. What do they need to be looking for?
Exactly.
What are the clues that, because I'm sorry, you can't be everywhere, brother. You can't.
True.
So they are the ones, the men and women who work in your municipalities and your counties and your troopers on the highways. What do they need to look for to go, this is something I need to pay attention to?
Well, Stacy alluded to the scenario of the traffic stop, right? We stopped a guy that's carrying a load of dope, but he's got 2 females in the car, and we often overlook that, right? We're caught up. We're dope hounds. So, what should we be looking for? What questions should we be asking?
It's one of those things that I'm sure you had that feeling after you had Dan Nash's training, or anyone that has human trafficking training. Raise your hand if you let someone go.
Oh, absolutely.
Everyone raises their hand.
Like pit in my stomach, like, oh my.
And so when you always trust your gut. On traffic stops, you have that deputy, city officer, trooper out there. Getting everyone's driver's license is so important. Getting that picture, and even if you think something's wrong, and what it looks like, it can be a normal person, but when you start searching their vehicle, you're looking for drugs, because there's all the indicators there for drug,
Sure.
or drug possession, and there's no drugs, but there's something more valuable there, and it's that person.
Wow.
And you start looking at, they're traveling through our states, they're traveling through communities. You have one person in the vehicle that has all the clothes. He has clothes for months, and the next person has no clothes, just a few items belonging. There's more, I guess, say more risque clothes,
Okay.
lingerie, things like that. And you're like, this doesn't make sense. Why are you traveling throughout the country? Why are you traveling throughout Arkansas, and you only have a small amount of clothing? And what we've come to train our officers, and what we'll continue to do throughout the state, is is being able to call us, because with their driver's license, we can identify those individuals through escort ads, that we can track them throughout the country, their movement in Arkansas, and let the officer know, like, hey, they're traveling. Where do they say they're going? Well, they said they're going to Memphis. Well, they're actually traveling to Nashville. And because we can show their ads, like, hey, we're going to be here at this date and time, and these girls are already advertising themselves, and we're showing that the advertise. So usually we're just looking for that choice. The officers call us. The officers will bring the girls back, and it's all about. Don't ask them, are you being human trafficked? Because they don't.
Like, let's say that you walk up to that car, and I don't know why they do this, but a lot of them won't get rid of those little hotel credit card, the little access.
Yeah, sure.
They may have 5 different hotels in there, 5 different pass keys or something.
Wonderful.
They're in this. I mean, just little things like that. Who carries those
That might
around?
be a clue.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a clue.
Yeah.
Clue.
Investigator, sorry.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that's just a real simple thing.
Okay.
Like, when you're searching a vehicle, are these, do they have stuff like that?
So, because I want to be clear, it's for us, it's important that we're educating, and that's the purpose of these podcasts. And what you're talking about, so important, is so somebody's listening to this right now. They just make a traffic stop. I saw this, and you have alluded to, call us. Who is us?
So with us, we have our human trafficking unit. There's three individuals that are in it right now. We also have report HT at arkansas.gov, where you can, which all of us get the email at any hour of the night. And a lot of other individuals have been just calling troop headquarters, and they've been forwarding the call straight to a team member.
Yeah. So that local agency can contact their local troop, and then it'll be passed on to you guys. Hey, I made a traffic stop, stopped so-and-so. This is the information. This is what I saw. And that is what you're looking for to begin the investigation.
Yes.
We're working to incorporate a 1-800 number just that goes directly to the person on call. That's just kind of the future things that we're putting in place to help those local agencies, because, and even if they have that feeling that something doesn't look right, go ahead and get the information. We can get it tomorrow. If you're not able to, like, I don't know if I can, I don't know who to call or whatever. They can get that information, ship it to us at any point, and we'll take that and see what we can do with it.
So a question and a comment, and I know Chris has got a question or two, but so my question, are you seeing it throughout all different levels of communities, or is this an urban issue, a metro issue, a truck stop issue, or are we seeing it in varied places across the state?
It's everywhere. I mean, we have individuals that are posting advertisement in Goshen, Arkansas.
So rural as well, and that's important.
That's a rural area, all the way to your bigger cities.
Right.
But it's like going to Jonesboro, and you figure that we identified 25 men and women that were being exploited in that short period of time. But so what's your thoughts? Are they all from Memphis? Well, no. 2 were from outside the state. So 23 were in the Jonesboro area, going to Hot Springs, identifying 30 individuals that are in the Hot Springs area. And it's just been eye-opening to me. Just it's scary almost. It's like they're hidden in plain sight.
Wow.
You're walking through Walmart, and there's a child, a wife, a husband, man, woman that is being trafficked, and we just don't know it.
And I guess my comment to turn this over to Chris, he's a smart one, by the way.
Right.
Doctor, PhD. The whole sidebar story. But, as an investigator, spent the majority of my time in law enforcement and in investigations in one form or the other. These are the cases I didn't want. I mean, seriously, I'll own that. I wanted to chase dopers and homicides and, do all of that and enjoyed every bit of that. So I admire what you're doing, because I don't think all of us are cut out to do this. Really, I don't know that we are. Chris?
I'd tell you what, a couple of things jumped out at me. I love the servant leadership aspect of this. Obviously, Major Rhodes, servant leader, but Matt, you are as well. and the calling, as when you talked about that calling, we've all talked about in different meetings when we're talking to recruits all the way up that we're talking about law enforcement is a calling.
Yeah, I got a chill when he actually said he was laying in bed in the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, I did too. I'm like, because it really is. I think people don't understand that it is a calling, and I know there's people that are listening, and our civilian staff as well, that are called to do these certain things, and I love that, and I love the fact that Major Rhodes saw that in you and immediately, just encouraged that, fanned that flame. And I think that's important for our sheriffs and chiefs to understand, those that are in leadership, that we have people that are passionate about something. And it could be, Matt, what you're doing, it could be K9, it could be whatever. And we need to, as leaders, really fan that flame in people, because that passion is what keeps us going. And lives are being impacted by that. And I have mad respect for that, for both of you guys for pursuing that.
So I think we're probably getting the signal over there out of the corner to kind of wrap things up. But so some of your other partners, you want to speak about some of the other partners you got across the state and with our federal authorities and kind of.
Yes. So with the grant, we have $750,000 that we are able to sub-grant to victim service providers, which we have a CASA, Into the Light, Genesis Project. We also have some criminal and legal for these individuals. And it's been a really neat experience on getting them funds to help them. And,
So you have a resource base. Once you remove them from the situation, you've established a coalition where you can help push them in the right direction and rebuild their lives?
That's
yes,
amazing.
yeah. We have we also partner with We Are Free. It's a long-term, short-term facility where individuals that have experienced this life can go and get resources, counseling. We also have the centers, which is Melissa Dawson, where majority of our children in the state of Arkansas go to once we recover them after they've been exploited during these recoveries. We're also
the hidden heroes. They're there, nobody knows they're there, but they are just providing such an amazing.
And we've been really fortunate as a task force because we come up with these procedures of, all right, this occurs, this is going to be a response. So we have a coordinated response for a child that is a high-risk victim that's missing. So a child that's been missing more than 15 days, a child that's been sexually assaulted twice in the past 6 months. We have this large list of children that we're searching for, and we'll have a coordinated response to them with advocacy, child advocacy centers, and all these other resources that our main goal is we don't see them when they're 20 years old. We're trying to stop. We're going to the problem.
Yeah. You mentioned a couple communities where you identified 25, 30 in the past year. It's a little more than a year right now, October of 23, December 24. What do you think that number in the last year has been?
So
that you've identified.
We're between 150 and 200 individuals that are being exploited, identified, that we're looking for. Now, I had to say this. I looked at the stats this morning. From January 1 to today's date, there's been 680,000 escort ads posted in the state of Arkansas.
In the state of Arkansas.
Yes. So that's thousands and thousands of individuals. And I also had to say that 150 to 200 individuals that were identified are before operations, and I'm just taking a day's worth of ads in that community and identifying these individuals and their traffickers.
And that's with 3 of you. And for the biggest part of the time, it was you.
Yes.
By yourself.
Yeah.
Wow. So what I keep thinking about, and how many times have we seen this, right? The problem's big.
Mm-hmm.
It's big. But how many times have we seen right person, with the right heart,
The right time,
empowered with the right resources,
Yeah.
the gravity of the problems that they can address?
Yes.
And it's like Exhibit A.
I agree.
I mean, I'm concerned, but I'm also encouraged.
Yeah, and so our vision for doing this podcast is a perfect example of why we want to do this. To get this information out there, to identify problems that our law enforcement community may not be tracking on, provide them resources. Obviously, you're a resource for the entire state, you and the team. But to bring light to the problem, right? And then I guess my final question for you, Matt, would be how can we help you and the law enforcement community from a training aspect? What do we need to be pushing out to make this problem, make people more aware of the problem, and then how to address the problem? What can we do to help?
opportunities like this. We have the CLES portal that I need to get with you on pushing out training. We have a training committee with our council that we have a couple of professors that helps us navigate what we've been doing for this past year is gathering training throughout the state, looking what other people provide. What we've kind of found out is we can provide our own training with community members. We have a team, and now we just need a place to house it. And we've had talks with CGI and just for that public awareness aspect, and also law enforcement. I mean, the Arkansas State Police doesn't have to come help you. I can send a totally different team of nonprofits to respond to your situation and get the resources that you need.
Well, we want to be proactive about this as a division, the Department of Public Safety. Obviously, we all work under the same umbrella, so whatever resources we can bring to the table to help you with this endeavor. Man, you're doing God's work. I maybe the wrong thing to say on a podcast for a state entity, but you're doing God's work, man, and it's been enlightening to me. Starting my 30th year, and excited to hear what you're doing, and it encourages me that we've got young men and women out there like you tackling this problem.
And I would say thank you both for saying yes, because you're majorly impacting lives. But there's going to be people listening to this broadcast that may have a team member that's interested in this. We need to encourage them. Yep. We need to encourage them because we need more resources.
And I'll say this, this morning I was driving in and I got into some fog, and so I couldn't see. So what I had to rely on, I relied on the lines in the road and the taillights, the dim taillights in front of me, and it made me think about what I want our council to be, what our task force to be. Is we want to come in when someone's blinded by the fog and be their light.
Wow. Yeah, that's cool. There's a T-shirt. Write it down.
That's solid right there.
That's awesome.
Stacy, awesome. I don't want to overlook the fact that you believed in Matt and gave him this opportunity.
I agree.
One of the things I've adopted from Colonel Hager is let's find a way to yes. 100%. Instead of just jumping all over the no to this, no to that. Let's take our time and figure out a way to yes. And I think this is a perfect example of that, an endeavor that state police probably didn't realize they were, or hadn't in the past.
Right.
Identified the problem.
100% was just not anything that, that had ever come to our doorstep before. And I remember when Matt and I talked about it, because a lot of times, a lot of these agencies have the ability to do this, but like I said, personnel gets low and it just kind of goes to the wayside. And one of our very early conversations is, I said, if not us, then who? Right. Nobody else is doing it. Send us. And that's exactly right. That was one of the very first conversations we had. And I said, let's do this. Let's give something back to our communities, to those local agencies that, don't have the resources, the abilities to do it right now. And if there's anybody, any of these agencies that out here that want to, come, not be a part of the task force, but if they want to get involved and, can be somebody in that community that we can reach out to and say, hey, I think this is going on, or if they feel it's going on in their communities, reach out to Matt and we can work together to make this happen.
Well, Matt, I know we have at least 4 listeners. So at least 4. So if someone needs to get a hold of you, what's the best point of contact? How do they get a hold of you with either questions, comments, or resources?
Please call me, 479-651-1223, or report ht@arkansas.gov, or call any local troop or state police. I get forward calls all the time. I don't know who it is. I'm answering the phone. It's Matt.
We're working on a website, right?
Yeah, and we're also working on the website. Thank you, Major. And the website will have those tools. What you're mentioning is those indicators that we're looking for in law enforcement, our child and our adults. We we have Excel document there for them. We also have it'll be a training request, so we can go out to the community and train, and it'll also be a tip line, so anyone can.
Great.
Yeah.
How about a little cue card? I remember
Yes.
above our visor we had
Yes,
those little
like
cue cards. What are we looking
indicators.
for? You know.
Yeah. Is it here?
Just once again, though, as we wrap this up, I appreciate everything you're doing. It's been eye-opening to us. We had this on our list to make sure we got you guys in, but much better information than I could even have imagined. So thank you guys for doing
for
that.
having us.
Appreciate the team for all the hard work. Appreciate what you're doing, and we're here to assist and ready to assist when you need us. So just ask. And so we're going to wrap up the 10-8 podcast for today. We appreciate you guys being on, and look forward to having you back maybe sometime to talk about some updates and
Perfect.
successful cases.
Yes.
So thank you guys.